Pictures posted on Chinese social media today showed the Communist Party's response. Tanks barreling down a beach in the city of Xiamen, across the water from Taiwan, after China's President Xi Jinping threatened strong and resolute measures if Pelosi dared go ahead with the trip. But Xi did anyway, and upon touchdown immediately released a statement underlining America's unwavering commitment to supporting Taiwan's vibrant democracy. At a time, she said, when America's solidarity with the 23 million people of Taiwan is more important today than ever, as the world faces a choice between autocracy and democracy. Pelosi was given a rock star welcome, with crowds chasing her entourage for a glimpse of the US Speaker as she arrived at her hotel in Taipei. Ahead of a meeting tomorrow with Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, the capital's tallest building was lit up with words of welcome for Pelosi and a heart to symbolize the two countries' friendship.
Despite continued threats, some going as far as insinuating her plane would be shot down, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi defied the Chinese and landed in Taiwan today. She spent the night in a heavily guarded hotel in the capital, Taipei, before speaking to Taiwan's parliament, called the Legislative Yuan. The appearance broadcast on TV across Taiwan. China believes Taiwan is its own under what it calls its One China principle. Few world leaders so brazenly disregard China's wishes and ignore its attempts at intimidation. But Nancy Pelosi did, openly, refusing to back down from her visit and even tweeting this after her arrival. Quote, "Our visit reiterates that America stands with Taiwan, a robust, vibrant democracy, and our important partner in the Indo-Pacific."
The details of her trip were kept secret, but there was no mistaking the United States aircraft bearing Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the US House and one of the most powerful people in Washington, D.C., as it touched down in Taiwan. The most senior US official to visit the self-governing island in 25 years, which is why China is so irate. It sees Taiwan as its territory and views the visit by Pelosi, so senior she's second in line to the US presidency, as open support for its formal independence. That so-called strategic ambiguity is how it's been for the past 40 years, but a more belligerent tone from President Xi about his desire for reunification has Washington nervous about his next move. That same tone was evident today when the Chinese Foreign Ministry said America's provocation had forced it to act. In the face of the US's unscrupulous behaviour in defiance of China's repeated and serious complaints, any countermeasures China is taking will be justified and necessary. China has already upped its military presence in the Taiwan Straits, but as of tonight, it said it plans additional air and sea exercises around the island, including long-range artillery fire. That doesn't necessarily mean it plans to immediately invade Taiwan, but the worry is it's an escalation that could push Beijing closer to the brink, where one step or misstep could lead to an all-out war.
Skyscrapers in Taipei welcomed the House Speaker, showing support in lights. Another one read, "Taiwan loves the United States." An enraged Chinese government, perhaps not accustomed to such a high-stakes public rebuke, announced live-fire training exercises around Taiwan starting Thursday. Chinese warplanes flew along the dividing line of the Taiwan Strait. Back on our shores, the issue has proven to be bipartisan. Dozens of Republicans have backed Pelosi, including South Carolina Republican Nancy Mace, who tweeted, quote, "While I don't often agree with Nancy Pelosi, I do believe in her right to travel to Taiwan without anyone's permission. No one in Congress should take orders from communist China." Michael Pillsbury, author of The 100-Year Marathon, China's Secret Strategy to Replace America as the Global Superpower, joins us live on the show now. He's a former Assistant Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Planning. Thank you for joining the show tonight.
Thank you, Paul.
So first, how do you think the Chinese are feeling about Pelosi's act of defiance, especially so publicly, even going on Taiwanese television to speak to legislators?
Well, they're debating what to do. They want to punish somebody. They want to do something. They're probably going to wait till they see what Nancy has to say before she leaves. but they're in a bad mood and they want to punish somebody. So far, what they've been aiming at is punishing Taiwan, stopping the purchase of a lot of Taiwan exports effective a few hours ago, stopping the sale to Taiwan of a special kind of sand that's crucial to chip making, to this huge worldwide global chip making facility in Taiwan. They haven't tried to punish the United States so far yet in these first few hours. So they seem to focus mainly on Taiwan as if somehow this is Taiwan's fault. But I don't think Taiwan invited Speaker Pelosi. I think she wanted to come on her own. They may just be a little bit too afraid to punish us directly yet until they get a lot stronger in a few more years.
You don't think that there will be any retribution coming anytime soon, even as they claim that the White House may have colluded with Pelosi to make this visit happen?
No, there's going to be some retribution. They're going to take some steps. But a lot of us who saw this back in 1996 are calibrating that as the baseline. Will they do anything more than what they did in 1996? That was mobilize 100,000 troops in the province opposite Taiwan. That was fire 4 missiles 30 miles or so from Taiwan that fell into the ocean, and a few other sanctions. But 1996 is a long time ago. The balance of power has changed. So China's ability to hurt us or hurt Taiwan is much greater now than it was back in 1996. So far, they haven't done anything like the level of punishment they tried in 1996.
We're looking right now at some of the differences in personnel and nuclear warhead ships between the United States and China, just showing what those two world powers really have behind them. I want to listen real quick. Michael, listen with me to what the White House had to say about Pelosi's visit today. Listen to this.
Let me be clear. The Speaker's visit is totally consistent with our long-standing One China policy. We've been very clear that nothing has changed about our One China policy. We've said that we oppose any unilateral changes to the status quo from either side. We've said we do not support Taiwan independence.
This came out this morning. Take a look at this. It says, in the face of the Chinese government's party accelerating aggression, our congressional delegation's visit should be seen as an unequivocal statement that America stands with Taiwan, our democratic partner, as it defends itself and its freedom. Michael, for those who need a quick refresher, the United States practices what it calls One China policy, in which it recognizes that the Chinese beyond Taiwan see Taiwan as their own, and the U.S. does not choose to challenge that. On paper, okay, but given the current state of things, after hearing what we just heard, how can we support Taiwan and still abide by that policy?
Well, we cannot. That's the whole issue. That's what the Chinese are very anxiety-stricken about, you might say. The original way this policy was implemented by the United States, no official of any serious rank could visit Taiwan at all. We closed our embassy. We converted it to kind of a foundation. We brought all of our nuclear weapons out of Taiwan by 1974. We've had no military exercises with them. We don't have any kind of direct military planning. We tore up the treaty. We withdrew from the defense treaty as it authorized. So that has all been slowly changing over the last few years, because the Taiwan Relations Act, a law, requires us to aid Taiwan in its self-defense. So as we've had more weapon sales, as we've let the special forces have a small unit in Taiwan, in uniform, active duty officers and men, as we started to have more visits back and forth, President Trump sent a cabinet secretary, Alex Azar of Human Services, Health and Human Services. Slowly, the One China policy has expanded a great deal, and that's what the Chinese are worried about. Taiwan is in some ways a sitting duck. There's not much deterrence. They know they will lose. We don't practice the defense of Taiwan at all. We have no supplies or ammunition there. So as that begins to change, the Chinese are beginning to think that maybe we're going to permanently alienate Taiwan from the mainland. That's the heart of this issue. Nancy Pelosi going there triggers this paranoia in China that this is part of some kind of American plot to separate Taiwan permanently from mainland China.